easier to find.
Okay.
That's my advice. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Leslie Gould. I'm the Executive Director of the Greater Beverly Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to our Power of Women 2021 series. We are really excited. This committee has many people on it. If you're on a screen and you want to wave, and because it's too many people to say who you are, but we have an amazing group of chamber members that are assisting us with this series. And Karen Nesson-Benny is our chairperson this year, so we're very grateful to her. And before I get into thanking our incredible sponsors, I do want to let you know tonight that, because I have to get to this, that Karen was very gracious. She just wanted everyone to know that when Susan, who's our presenter this evening, Karen actually gave her permission to talk about any of the interactions from the work that they've done together. She's been given permission to use some real life examples from Karen's life that she sees fit, or something that will come up because of a conversation that we're having. So I just want you to know that if anyone at all gets concerned that we're sharing too much, that Karen graciously, thank you, Karen, has given permission for this, because obviously the topic that we're going to talk about is personal. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about what's going on inside of us and how we're projecting out. And I do want to say that this whole the reason Susan is here is also because of the conversations that the Power of Women Committee were having. You know, we talked about what do we want to kick off with and what's happening in our world right now. And everybody was talking about the stress that they're feeling, the way that they're treating people that doesn't feel like the person that they are, that they're quick-tempered or whatever. And if you guys have been, or like old grievances that you thought like in your past were done, and like you got that, and they're coming back, and why. So this all ties into where we are and where we're going. So thank you for joining us. We, of course, as a Chamber of Commerce, we are very grateful to our sponsors that support us, support the organization, and at the end of the day, it's given back to you. And I want to thank our gold sponsors for our series, by the way, is in alphabetical order: Beth Israel Lahey Health, Beverly Hospital. Is there anyone from the hospital, Lahey, that is here tonight? Because you can say a few words. Anyone? Can unmute yourself? No? Okay. Eastern Bank is one of our gold sponsors. Kelly, would you like to say a few words? Kelly is the VP branch manager at the Enon Street branch. You want to say a couple of words?
Just a huge thank you to the chamber, as well as the committee and Karen. I've been very much looking forward to tonight. You know, working with the public, I've noticed that my patience has worn very thin. And that's nothing close to who I am as a person. So thank you, Karen, for helping us come up with this wonderful idea. And I'm not going to say any more because I'm looking forward to the speaker tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you, Eastern Bank. Also want to thank Institution for Savings, and we have assistant manager from the Beverly office and her beautiful son, Jerry Mazio, and Charlie, if he's still there. So cute. Want to say a few words, Jerry, please?
Sure. I first want to start off with thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here tonight, and Institution for Savings is very happy to sponsor, and I'm, you know, very excited to be here and get involved with you guys, and yeah, so thanks.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here tonight, and we appreciate your support. I also want to thank our silver sponsors, Jill Misha, who's also our GBCC board president. So thank you, Jill. She is with Gibson Sotheby International Realty. So thank you. We appreciate you, obviously. And of course, Temkin Financial LLC, Al Temkin, who is also here with his beautiful wife tonight. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We're so grateful. And also our bronze sponsor, Montserrat College of Art. And if you love what you see here tonight, and we know that you will, and you feel like it's a good match and you'd like to sponsor the rest of the series, we've got another 4 events that we're probably going to be doing throughout the year. And they're going to include everything from diversity and inclusion to a panel talking about financial freedom, as well as we're going to do some student mentoring. And then hopefully by the end of the year, have a real networking event where we're all together, maybe even do our little black dress event. That was such a huge success back in 19. So with that said, I'm going to introduce Susan, who is a specializes in stress management training. She is a facilitator, and she works with all different kinds of organizations, all different kinds of businesses. She's been doing this for 25 years plus. She is a licensed social worker, and I'm going to let her take it from here if she wants to, expand on her experience. But we really want, the one thing that Susan and I talked about, which is really important, is we want to have a conversation with you. She wants to have the conversation with you. She wants this to be as open and a great dialogue. So please feel free to use the chat. And if you want to definitely say something, I'll put you on a list and we'll make sure we call on you to unmute yourself. Does that sound good, everyone? And sound good, Susan?
Sounds good.
All right, let's rock this. Susan, thank you so much for joining us.
All right.
Take it away.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and support you in learning how to practice safe stress. Safe stress. Yeah.
Right.
So yes, I have for about 25 years spoken on many different wellness topics, and I teach meditation and relaxation, visualization, mostly about how to live and find your most authentic self is a favorite topic of mine. I also, I'm a grief counselor. I have a private practice, and I'm also a critical incident responder for the last 25 years for the state of Massachusetts. Did a lot of work after 9/11 and the marathon bombings and any other critical incidents. I get called in, and people that witnessed these traumatic events, I would work with them on sort of how to come in for a landing around that. Most recently, I've been sharing my story. I'm a mom of a transgender son, and I'm pretty passionate about working with people that might be struggling with someone in their life who's trans. And so I've been really enjoying and hoping to up my game with talking more about being a mom of a transgender son. When my son told me he was trans, the only question I had was, he's still gonna cook for me? Other than that, I didn't give a shit what gender he was. So, but speaking of swearing, I do want to apologize ahead of time. Okay, so I started swearing when I was 4. Apparently, my parents told me I blew up the Easy Bake Oven. What the how do you blow up an Easy Bake Oven? It's a friggin' light bulb, but apparently I blew it up. I dropped the F-bomb. Now, I think my parents went into counseling. I didn't. I think they might have stayed in counseling for most of my young adult life. I've never cooked since. So this is the deal. I've been working on this for years. I dropped the F-bomb 35 times today to get it out of my system. It doesn't usually help. So this is the deal. If anyone today gets stressed or traumatized by my swearing, I will give you free therapy. Now, I will also give you free therapy if you cook for me. So, because I haven't cooked since I was 4. My ex-husband is a chef, and when we got divorced, I asked him to still cook. No, that didn't happen. So yes, I have 1 ex, 1 cat, and 1 kid, kind of a one-person sort of person. So again, I'm a professional. I am apologizing ahead of time for my swearing. Anyone think they'll have a problem with that? Okay, great. So what I encourage you to do for the next hour is to sit back and just see what hits home. I'm going to be talking about a lot of different things. Don't worry about getting it all, because this is the deal. I'm going to say one thing, and that's going to spark you. but it'll be different for Kate, then Jane, then Carmen, then Karen, Leslie. You're all going to hear maybe something different. It's all okay. Just notice sort of what hits home for you, and that's what you'll leave with. And hopefully you'll learn something new about yourself. You'll think about where you need to up your game in dealing with whatever you're dealing with in your life, and come home, come back to yourself in maybe new ways. Because this is my philosophy. Couple things. I don't ever see anybody as a done deal. I think we're always coming into ourselves. And I think there's always parts of us to meet. For instance, 2 years ago, I was living in Newton and I decided I wanted to change. I sold everything, put my treasures in storage, and stayed with some friends. And all I knew was that I wanted to move to the North Shore. I had no idea why. I had no idea where. I just knew it was North Shore. I got on Craigslist, and the first apartment that came up was in Newburyport. So I went to look at it, and it used to be an Airbnb. Holy shit, it had everything. Everything. I opened a closet, there was a Swiffer. I told the girl I'd take it. I rented it on the spot, and about 3 days after I moved in, I was walking in town, and I saw this beautiful church that said Unitarian. I didn't even know what that was. I walked in. By the end of the service, I knew I had found my spiritual home. 3 days later, I'm sitting with a friend, and she's showing me a picture of a cat in a shelter where she volunteers in Salisbury. No one wanted this cat because it was 12. I don't even like cats, but I had to free that cat. So I adopted her, brought her home. She slept next to me that night. And the next day, I looked at myself and I said, well, nice to meet you. Those were parts I didn't even know were in me. They moved forward. A cat and Unitarian? So, we're never a done deal. So why should we practice safe stress? Because it'll serve you. Because whatever you have going on from day one is being held right here. And there can be a buildup. And when you regularly honor yourself and practice safe stress and really decompress regularly and really name what's going on in your life, you'll do better. There's always going to be stress. It's about how you hold it. And it's about the wear and tear that it takes on your person. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Stress takes such a toll, physically, emotionally, spiritually, cognitively, and it can manifest in many different ways. So I'll talk to you tonight about different ways to hold your stress so it's gentler. Shit's gonna happen. There's one. No, I'm not counting. Right? And particularly in the last year, right? This is unprecedented, this pandemic, and the changes that were forced upon us. Now, change is always going to happen, right? It's inevitable. I say make friends with change. You don't have to love every change that comes along, but you might want to sit back and go, okay, bring it on. And let me see how this is going to rock and roll. Never write the end of the story. Think of the time you did that. You knew of something that was coming up, You wrote the ending. Oh, this is going to suck. And the weeks leading up to it, right? You're symptomatic. You can't sleep. You're overeating. You're undereating. You're a wreck. Then the event happens, right? And you're going through it and you're like, shit, that's it? Come on. Anyone go through that before? Okay, the rest of you in denial, which I will talk about in a little bit. So there's always going to be changes. The past year, most people don't realize this, but most people have been grieving. Grief is not just connected to the loss of a loved one. In the past year, people have grieved loss of connection, loss of faith. A lot of people have lost faith, loss of trust, loss of dreams, loss of joy. People talk about feeling a loss of themselves, feeling out of sorts, not recognizing who you are because of irritability and frustration and responding in ways that you don't even recognize yourself. Like, who the heck are you? Acting in ways, anyone going through that? Like, whoa, that's not me. Yeah, I can see a lot of head nodding. Yeah. So, again, some changes are forced upon us, which can obviously bring up anger. Wearing masks. People haven't liked it. That was, in many ways, right force. Now, personally, I like wearing them. Okay, I can swear my head off. No one hears me because, I'm behind the mask. It hides everything. I'm going to wear a mask for the rest of my life. But for a lot of people, they don't like wearing masks. They don't want to social distance. So there's been a lot of uprooting. People feel unmoored, out of sorts, like the ground is shifted and you don't feel steady. This is normal in this past year. I think it's really important to really honor and name your losses. Because a lot of what you're going through is grief. You're grieving. But number one, you got to name your loss. Is it a present loss? Is it something from the past that's getting triggered? Or do you have anticipatory grief? You're grieving something that hasn't happened or that you're anticipating will happen. Maybe you know someone that's not doing well. You're anticipating their passing. That's anticipatory grief. Maybe you're writing the end of the story. Maybe you have a present loss, but other losses have gotten triggered. That is so common. My dad died about 10 years ago. We were very close. And as I'm grieving my dad, up came my cousin Tommy, who died 30 years ago of AIDS. And it was so devastating to me. I kind of tucked him away in a storage locker. I think we all have storage lockers inside of us. This got put in one of my storage units and never sort of looked at it. Well, when my dad died, there was my cousin Tommy popping up. It was time for me to honor and grieve him. So after I spent time with my dad, I spent time with my cousin. So some of you may be experiencing triggering. You can get triggered by a past loss that you've grieved. It just might present itself again. It doesn't mean you didn't grieve. We all get triggered. There's no getting over losses. Why would you ever want to get over someone you've loved, right? It's about how do you reconnect in new ways with that person you've lost? How do you reconnect with parts of yourself that you feel you've lost? So it's not about getting over. How do you bring that person with you as you move forward in your life? You know, a lot of people focus on loss, but it isn't just what you've lost, it's also what you get to keep. And it's always struck me so beautifully when Karen talks about all that she gets to keep from her losses. So it's important to remember what you get to keep. When I think of my dad, I get to keep the wisdom he gave me, the love that he had for me. I still get to keep that. So yeah, pay attention to what you still get to keep, even as you're grieving a loss. Some of your discomfort is your grief playing out. So we become symptomatic when we grieve, when we feel unmoored, when we have fear, particularly in this last year. So again, it can play out physically with body aches and headaches and different pain. You may have more emotional symptoms, mood swings. Maybe you're already moody and now you're more moody. Irritability, frustration, that's all can be grief. Feeling fear of what's going on in the world, what's been happening politically with Black Lives Matter, the COVID. There's a lot that's been going on. That's a lot to take in, right? With no instruction book on how to deal with all of this. And the other thing I want to mention, it's not just grieving your own loss. We grieve and take in other people's grief. All the hundreds of thousands of people that have passed, we're grieving that too. And we can absorb what our loved ones are grieving. We can take a little bit of that on and then get triggered too. So allow yourself to name your loss and to feel whatever you're feeling. Feelings want to be seen and heard. And when they're not going to be happy. They want to be seen and heard. And by the way, don't have feelings about your feelings. If you feel sad, then feel sad. You don't have to have a whole dialogue, well, I shouldn't feel this sad. Or that person really should be sadder than me. I should be over this by now. Just feel what you're feeling without having feelings about them. Does that make sense? Am I making sense, Karen? Okay, I'm just checking in. Okay. So, just questions or comments at this point? Anybody have anything they want to say, need to say? This is riveting, right? Okay, so. People that repress feelings have a harder time. Prolonging, sweeping them under the carpet, pretending they're not there. They have a tougher time. So again, acknowledge how you're feeling instead of bottling them up. And when you start to feel overwhelmed with your feelings, so what? So you get overwhelmed. Sometimes you can add, so what, to the end of a thought. Oh, I'm really anxious. Okay, so what? So you're anxious. You don't have to get anxious that you're anxious and then you're anxious, then I'll friggin' you over the top. Really check into your narratives. Your thoughts can get you into more trouble than anything. Notice what you're thinking. Thoughts sometimes are based in fear. They're not always true. There's a famous quote, leave your front door and your back door open. Let your thoughts come and go. Don't serve them tea. Think about that for a moment. You don't have to entertain every thought that arises. You can nod to it. You can notice it. You don't have to grip it. Again, a lot of our thoughts aren't true. They're distorted, based in the past. And by the way, Your past is not a life sentence. How you handle things in the past, the way you responded in the past, isn't necessarily what you're going to do now. You know, there's a lot of things out of our control, but there's 3 definite things in your control. One is your attitude. Whatever attitude you choose to cop in any given moment is in your control. First, you gotta notice what attitude you've got going and ask yourself how that's working for you. I probably ask myself how my attitude, behavior, how that's, whatever's going on, how that's working for me 4 or 5 times a day. Yeah, so how's that working for you? Your attitude is in your control. The way you respond to what's going on in your life is in your control. And I'll talk more in a little bit about ways to cope and different kinds of things you can do that can serve you in a healthy way, but the way you respond is in your control. Okay, a third thing that's in your control are the shoes you wear. Now, things are bad enough. I don't think it's helpful to wear ugly ass shoes because, you know, when people are depressed or anxious, they tend to look down. Don't be looking down at really ugly ass shoes because if you got cool shoes on, you may do this. Nice. You may get a moment of, whew, no matter what's going on, I got some friggin' cool shoes on. So some of you may need to go to DSW. If you don't know whether you have cool shoes or not, somehow I'll get you my email. You can send me pictures. I'll tell you whether you have cool shoes or not. Your attitude, the way you respond, is in your control. This is about being thoughtful and reflective. It's not about being critical and being judgmental. It's about just taking some honest looks. You know, I say to people, it all begins with being honest and real and authentic right here. You may bullshit others, don't bullshit yourself. Be real, be authentic. Start here, and then that will move out. You will be more honest and authentic with others, but it's got to start here first. The other thing is, I bet a lot of you are caretakers in your life, right? Not if I'm right. You caretake kids, animals, friends, right? Spouses, exes, soon-to-be exes, the ex you haven't met yet, the Eastern Hemisphere, the Western Hemisphere. Some of you try to take care of the whole friggin'. Caretakers aren't necessarily great at caretaking themselves, but they're great with others. So take a moment. How good are you about caretaking you? Where do you fit in? Is there self-love here? Is there empathy and compassion for your own self? Or is it all going out? Just something to think about. Again, whatever presents itself in any given moment, let it in. I'm going to read you a poem. Maybe some of you have heard of this. The Guest. Raise your hand if you've heard of this. Have you heard of the poem, The Guest? Okay. And I'm happy, Leslie or Robin, anything that people want, I can send you and you can make copies or distribute or whatever. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house, empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. She may be cleaning you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing. Invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Whatever presents itself, go, okay. It's good to meet you. Frustration, anger, whatever. Now, that's different than entertaining with tea every thought that comes in your head. Does that make sense? It takes some practice to be mindful of what's coming up for you and not to run from it, resist it, criticize it, judge it. We all get angry. We all get scared. We all feel unmoored at times. You know, happiness is not a 24 state of mind. It's just a moment. Well, unless you're on something, but that friggin' wears off. It's just a moment. You want to be there for it. So, on that note, when you let go of resentments, when you let go of things you don't need anymore, it opens up more room to be there for joyful moments. It's all moments, and everything's temporary. Have you ever gotten really upset and actually just stayed with it for a minute and it sort of shifted? But how many times have you felt really upset and you just acted on it really quickly, when if you had waited, it might have ebbed and flowed into something else, because everything is temporary. Every year, I go with my son and we get tattoos together. So when he turned 18, we went so he could get his first. And his first tattoo was, "This is temporary." Now, obviously, the irony is tattoos are permanent, but it reminded him that everything's temporary. An anger, a joy, it all ebbs and flows. And attaching too tightly for anything can make you even more whatever it is you're attaching to. So what the Buddha says is we all suffer. How much is up to us? You're angry, acknowledge it, own it, but how angry do you want to be? That you'd want to think about. Does that make sense? So, a great technique is pausing. In any given moment, you want to ask yourself two things. So let's say you notice you're getting upset, you're overwhelmed, you're frustrated, whatever is coming into your house, you pause, you look at it, and then you can ask yourself two things. What do I need in this moment? What is the next best thing for me to do? And what can I let go of? What can I put down? What's the next best thing? What's the next right thing for me to do? It might be to fall down, have a total meltdown, and as I told Karen many times, and then you get up and you make a sandwich. Karen, how many sandwiches have you made since you and I started working together?
Too many sandwiches, but that's good.
Okay. You fall down, so what? You get up and you make a sandwich and you move on. What's the next right thing for me to do? What do I need? What needs my attention? And what can I let go of? Y'all still with me? How many have heard one thing so far that's hit home? Okay. So, how did I get into all of this? It was probably about 40 years ago. I was at the gym. I should probably go back. And I meant to go back, but then the pandemic hit. But 40 years ago, I was at the gym. And I was in the best friggin' shape of my life. I had like no body fat. I could take down any 9-year-old. I'm eating tofu. What the frig is tofu? I'd bring it home. It would turn green, but you lived to be 200. I could be on a treadmill for 2 hours, hardly broke a sweat. I wanted to kick ass all the time. Whew. So I'm on the treadmill and I'm like, ooh, am I physically fit? And then I had like a holy shit moment. Like the sky opened up and I'm like, well, I'm physically fit, but am I emotionally fit? I asked myself, I'll never forget that moment. Then I said to myself, well, what the frig does that mean? What would I need to be emotionally fit? So this is what I've come up with. Now I've tweaked this over the years. So I like to share them with you. So what I'd like you to do is I'm talking about these 5 or 6 components of emotional fitness. I want you to just think, do you have them? Did you have them? Do you want them back? Just sort of see what you feel inside as I'm talking, what sort of presents itself for you. You with me? Oh my God, I've only sworn twice, right? Who's counting? Karen, are you counting? I haven't sworn that many times. Frig is not swearing. Okay, and by the way, the studies show that people that swear have less stress. So, okay. Number 1 for emotional fitness. People that have faith and anchors are more emotionally fit. I don't necessarily mean religious faith. It's however you define faith, whatever that might mean to you. Now, a lot of people during times of crisis can lose faith. I worked with a lot of people after 9/11. The people that did not continue to cultivate their faith or get it back, they didn't do as well. You can lose faith. How many of you at some point in their life, for a moment, lost faith in something, themselves, the world we live in, whatever God you worship? Any of you ever lose faith? Okay. Now I want to ask the group of you that just raised your hands, how many of you got your faith back? Because that's the more important thing. Not about losing it, about did you get it back? Because faith needs to be cultivated. It's not a done deal. Okay, I got faith and that's it. We can lose faith. So it's important to think about, what are you doing to cultivate whatever that might mean to you? Anchors. Anchors ground us. They center us. I'm curious what some of you, what are some of your anchors? What helps ground you and center you when you feel like your head's blowing off? Or anyone have? Yeah.
Being in nature or being with my animals.
There you go. How many agree or feel anchored when they're in nature or with their animal? Oh, absolutely. Yes. Someone just wrote in breathing. I'm going to teach you some techniques in a minute. Deep breathing and watching yourself breathe can be amazing anchors to bring you back and to steady you. Anyone else have an anchor that hasn't been mentioned?
Family.
Family.
I'm sorry, what?
Family.
Family. Okay, well, depending on your family, right?
Yeah, right. My
yeah.
grandkids,
Yeah. And what?
my grandkids.
Your grandkids. Okay. Anyone else have something else? Even if it's you know what a mantra is? Right? It's a phrase that you keep repeating. You can imagine what mine is. Okay, but that works for me. Or yeah. But a mantra can be very grounding for people. People that have a lot of anxiety. I'm okay. They can chant a small phrase and get grounded. Let it be can be a mantra. So mantras can be powerful. Not my circus, not my monkeys. That's from, I don't know how to, Dalia? Is that how I'm not sure. I'm so
Delia.
bad at pronunciation. That's a
I
good
work
one.
in hospitality, so we have a lot of like, just
Oh,
my
there you
circus,
are.
not my monkeys. Like,
Right. But mantras can be in a moment. Sometimes clients through the years, I'll tell them to have something on their person, a stone, something that they can touch, that they connect with calming and grounding. Again, people that have faith in whatever that might look like, people that have anchors, that's helps your emotional fitness. Number 2 is resiliency. The best definition I can think of with resiliency, it's a determination to embrace all that makes life worth living, even in the face of overwhelming odds. I remember reading the story about one of the women in the marathon bombings who had gotten very hurt. And she said shortly after, I think she lost a leg, a lot of trauma, that she was going to be damned if she wasn't going to hold on to everything that made life worth living 2 seconds before that bomb went off. That's resiliency. Resiliency doesn't mean you don't sometimes fall down, right? And lose it and cry. And resiliency, right, is getting back up. Might take you a little bit. You might need some help getting back up. That's okay. It's literally getting up or symbolically getting up. That's resiliency. I'm going to name some characteristics of resilient people. And I just want you to think about, am I talking about you? Resilient people are confident, but they're not cocky and they're not arrogant. They have an inner belief in themselves, but they're the first to admit when they're wrong. They are open to listening to how other people deal with things. They take advice. They don't know it all. They don't know it all. They attend to their health, their physical, their emotional, and their spiritual health. They pay attention to it. They're flexible. Listen, they don't love every change that comes along. And they may have a tantrum for 5 minutes and then they get friggin' busy. Because resilient people are action-oriented. They get strategic and they go, okay, I'm upset, I'm scared, I don't love this change or what's going on. What do I need to do? Resilient people do that. They get strategic, they get moving, they take action. Resilient people have support. How many of you have at least one person in your life that has your back? You can say or do anything, man, and they will be there. Okay. Okay, just a little bit of advice. Try to have a backup. I mean, what if you're the person, right, that has your back is on vacation or not doing well or, I don't know, skip town? So you try to have 2. Resilient people have empathy for themselves and others. no matter who is standing in front of them or what's going on, sometimes they dig deep, but they have empathy. And resilient people do not take 98% of things personally, because most things have nothing to do with us. How many of you can think of times, right? Someone walks by you when we were maybe in the workplace, right? They walk by you, they don't say good morning, and they have a really funny look on their face. And you immediately take that personally. Oh shit, it was something you did. Oh my God. Maybe the person just had gas. That's why they had the funny look on their face and they didn't say good morning, because they had gas and they were running, it probably had nothing to do with you. But how many of us, you know how much time we waste taking things personally? Often say to yourself, no matter what's going on with someone else, it's not about you. Let that go. On the other hand, it's really good to own what is about you and own and take responsibility for your own stuff. But in terms of other people, resilient people don't make it, they don't make it about them. It's not about them. Resilient people can be lighthearted. They can make fun of themselves. How many of you can really laugh at yourselves? Right? Yeah. And sometimes we laugh at others, but in good nature. I saw someone last week, they were walking and they were looking at their phone and they ran into a pole. Okay, I made sure they were okay. And then I was kind of like, it was funny, right? People, it's funny. I can laugh at myself all the time. It doesn't mean not to take stuff seriously. And there's certain things, right, that we don't want to minimize in our lives, but the ability to be lighthearted will help you be resilient and have a stronger emotional core. Okay, so how do you become more resilient? We've talked about that your attitude's a choice. Identify what you can control and what you can't. Someone just wrote, sing and dance every day. I would like some of you to do that and then send me the video, because it's probably hysterical. Remember that most things are temporary. Keep yourself healthy. Let go of resentments. Resentments take up so much room. They clog our systems. Ask yourself, if you're holding a resentment right now towards someone or something, ask yourself, what do you get out of that? And what would it mean to let it go? And if you've got a resentment that you want to let go of, then every day, almost imagine that you're holding the resentment, and every day you just loosen the grip just a little bit. Pretty soon, you'll let go. Because what are you really getting out of it? That's what you got to be honest about. And when you let go of resentments and anger that you don't need anymore, it opens up room. What will fill that space where you were holding that resentment? That's the mystery. Who knows what might come in? I think it's worth knowing. So think about what you can let go of, what you don't need anymore. Resilient people do that. Number 3, coping skills. Third component of emotional fitness, open up your toolbox. Look at your coping skills. Some of us need to throw the whole friggin' thing out. Are they rusted? Are they old? Do they not work anymore? It's never too late to bring in and bring on new ways of coping. If your ways aren't working, then it's time to get some new ones. There's so many really great ways to cope that are simple. Pausing often. By the way, anything I teach you 3 times a day, and I'm talking for a minute or 2. Pausing 3 times a day. Have a check-in with yourself. Just check in. How am I feeling? What's going on? Just have a check-in. Be thoughtful and not reactive. Challenge your thoughts. You know how when someone says, so, how you doing? And you go, oh, yeah, fine. Yeah, how you really doing? Yeah, I'm really fine. Are you? At least be honest with yourself. So challenge. Oh yeah, everything's cool. Is everything cool? Boy, you look really angry. No, I'm not angry. Are you really angry? Name it. It's okay, name it. And then say, is that what you're really angry about or sad about or upset about? You don't want to spend a lot of time on the wrong thing. Gratefulness is a great coping skill. It doesn't take away everything. It helps you hold it better. So maybe you begin your day or you end your day with something you're grateful for. Something or someone. Gratefulness helps us hold our angst, our upsets, our sorrows. Try to lean into being more curious in your life. Something's coming up, be more curious as opposed to anxious or scared or writing the end of the story. See if you can bring more curiosity. I wonder where that'll take me. Gee, I'm angry. What, be more curious. Instead of getting so deeply involved in the feeling, be more curious about it. Does that make sense? I tell people, as often as you can, find a showstopper. Find something that lifts your spirit. What moves you? If you're into nature, then take a drive and go look at a mountain. Go look at the ocean. Go look at a forest. Give me sangria and a lobster. I am so good. I should be able to cook a lobster. Don't you just throw it in a pot? Well, I guess I'd have to get a pot. No, it's too, no way. Okay. Find a showstopper. People that, in the midst of whatever you might be feeling, even if it's hopelessness, you think about what lifts your spirit. That brings on desire, which brings on hope. You're feeling hopeless, then dream. Think about something of desire that will spark hope. Again, what sparks you? Bring that in. That's going to help hold what worries you. It'll help balance it. Passion is number 4. Now, that's not necessarily towards another person. It might be. Is Bruce Springsteen happily married? Okay, because I'm waiting for Bruce. But anyways, passion is something that moves you. So unless it's illegal or really kinky, you can tell me later and then I can live vicariously. What are some of your passions? What moves you? What are you passionate about? Okay, just one at a time. Comedy. All right. Helping other
Getting a bargain and getting a great sale.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Being outside with my family. Someone wrote, come on, what are some more of your passions?
Fitness.
No one's talking because it's illegal, right? Or kinky?
Fitness, being healthy.
Being healthy. That's a good one. Anyone else got a passion?
Shopping.
Shopping. Hey. Now, some of us, travel is my passion, and I haven't been able to. So I think about the places I've been, and I think about the places I'm going to go at some point. That sparks hope and desire. I can still be passionate about it. I understand there's a lot of us that have lost the ability to do some things we used to be able to do because of the pandemic. Some of us have taken on new passions, bringing back passions maybe that you haven't been a part of for a while. But this is the deal with passion. When you are in a moment of passion, whether you are traveling or you're with your animals or you're with your family, you get a moment free. There's no past, there's no future. You're in a moment of grace. Your spirit's lifted, and for a moment you're free in that passion. That's going to help you hold the angst and sadness, frustration, whatever else you're holding. That moment, you're going to hold that, and your body holds memory. Your body holds memory. So, be passionate. Do things that lift your spirit. Find showstoppers. These are tough times. But those moments, that's part of your life too. Last but not least is knowing how to relax. I mean, really knowing how to relax. Preferably legally, but whatever. Can you decompress? 3 times a day, I encourage you to. There's many ways to bring on relaxation, that your body will relax, your thoughts will settle, and you'll get that moment of decompression. And the reason you need to do that, because what I talked about in the beginning, you're holding everything. Your body and your mind, your heart, your soul does its best. But at some point, it can't hold it anymore. That's when you become symptomatic or more symptomatic. 3 times a day. Deep breathing is a fabulous way to decompress. How many of you know how to deep breathe? When I tell you to take a deep breath in, I want you to take a deep breath in and hold it. I'm going to count to 3, and then you're going to exhale. You can close your eyes if you wish. It's a deeper breath when you close your eyes. All right? You don't have to. So for a moment, take a deep breath in. Hold it. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Again, deep breath in. Hold it. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Now I'm going to have you do an add-on. I want you to think of something, a word that you can say to yourself on the inhale for calming. It can be the word calm, peace, something you want to bring in. Maybe you want to bring in more self-compassion, whatever it is you want to bring in, you bring that in on the inhale. Now I want you to all think of one thing you want to let go of. What do you want to let go of? Is it an anger, a frustration, a resentment? Think of something that it's time to let go of. And on the exhale, imagine that leaving you. Can you all think of something you want to bring in? Can you all think of something you want to let go of? Okay. So if you want, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in of what you want to bring in. Hold it. And now let something go. One more time. Inhale something you want to bring in. Hold it. And now let something go. Okay. Try that 3 times a day and see how that feels. I guarantee whatever you want to let go of, a little bit at a time, you're going to let go of it. This is the thing. You start to let go, let's say, of a resentment. A little bit does leave you. What comes back in is a little less. Over time, pretty soon, you've released it. Will it maybe pop up occasionally? Okay. It's up to you whether you want to grab it back. You probably won't want to. So it comes back up. You can go, okay, I see ya. Keep your front door open and your back door open. Let that come and go. Don't serve it tea. Let it go. Download Calm on your phone. Headspace. I'm sure you've heard of those. They're fabulous. What works for me is music. So I'll even get on YouTube, search for relaxation music, and a few times a day I plug into it. This relaxation music, they use nature sounds and instruments, they put it all together, and scientifically it's been proven your body responds pretty quickly. I like guided visualizations. All of that will bring on relaxation. That is going to serve you immensely in dealing with what all you might be dealing with. Practice relaxation often. Anyone have anything else that they do that you can admit to in public and ways that you relax?
All right, I'll go first. I actually recently downloaded the Calm app, and at night what I do is I put on, there's a setting for rain.
Yes.
And what it does is it'll play it for 15 minutes after you shut off the app. You can change your settings. So it actually started because I saw the commercial and where it says like do nothing for 15 seconds. So so at night before I go to bed, I do nothing for 15 minutes and just listen to it rain.
Wonderful.
It's been working. I'm still not quite sleeping as much as I'd like to, but
Okay.
it's been helping.
Keep doing it because your body is taking that in. And, you know, we clench inside. So that listening to that is allowing your body to sort of let go, muscles unclench. Keep doing it and your sleep will improve. And by the way, if you decompress also during the day, then whatever you're stuffing won't come out at 11 at night when you're trying to go to sleep or at 2 in the morning. Because that's what we do. It's waiting. Grief and pain and anger, all that shit is waiting. So if a couple times a day when you pause, you acknowledge a feeling or a thought, then it doesn't have to come out at night when you're trying to go to sleep or wake you up. Does that make sense? Okay. Thank you. Anyone else have any practices that they do to really get into a relaxed state?
I sleep pretty well, but
Good.
when I most of the time I do, but when I have found that what would help me do that to get to that point was I loaded the 10% app on my phone, and I would listen to that. And when I got up in the morning, I realized I didn't hear all of it. Now I don't really hear more than the gentleman speaking the first 3 seconds, and I'm out cold.
Right.
And it has been just wonderful.
Wonderful.
It's just a really great, I in months, I put it on every night, and I hear the first 3 or 4 words, and I do not hear another thing. And it has been the most wonderful thing to just make sure that, for me, that I have a really good night's sleep. I like I said, I don't have a problem sleeping. I don't really have a problem going to sleep. But if I'm the least bit anxious, I do use that. But I do try to do it every night just to have it on. It's a habit now.
Yes. And your body's absorbed. So the minute it starts even hearing the start, it already, you're
gone.
You're gone. Thank you, Jane. Anyone else have anything that they do to really decompress and unwind?
Yeah, we started, oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lori.
Oh, no, we started doing service work with our family, with our kids. And it's been phenomenal because if I'm ever stressed out or anything, when I'm doing service work for someone else, I'm so grateful after that. Although getting my kids out to do it isn't really a whole lot of fun, but once we're done, it's amazing. It's a great stress reliever.
How old are your kids?
This one's 17 and this one's 14.
You bribe them.
Oh.
I started bribing my kid, I don't know, how old is he? 6? You know, just, I promised him a car or something. Wonderful. And we all know, right, when we're giving out, we're helping others, we absorb that too. And that can be a calming, grounding. Good. Thank you. Appreciate you sharing that. Karen, did you want to say something about relaxation?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a terrible sleeper by nature, and a couple of things that I've done that have really helped is I have an air purifier in my room, which is white noise, but then I also have a rain machine, which I absolutely love. I'll leave it on all night long. And I actually like the rain even better than the ocean mode. But when I was in rehab, they sent, after COVID, they sent in a nurse who was like a real spiritualist to work with me. And one of the breathing techniques that she taught me was the 4-5-7. And you breathe in through your nose for 4, you hold for 5, and then you release for 7. I can't even say it without yawning. It's like Pavlov's dogs. I can do it once or twice and I'm like out.
Right.
And you do it a few times, in for 4, hold for 5, out for 7. It works really well.
It's right. Your whole body is letting go. Oh, it's wonderful. These things really work.
Yeah,
They
I've done a breathing one that's, I don't know when I read it as like a kid in a book at some point. But it's the breathe in, breathe out, but it's breathe in for 7, hold for 7, out for 7, hold for 7, and you just keep counting to 7. And I've actually used that for like panic attacks as a way to ground back in for panic attacks, because you're just focusing on counting.
Right. Sometimes a visualization can be very relaxing and grounding. When I think of a tree, the most gorgeous tree I can think of, the trunk is in the earth. It is steady, even if the branches are flying off and there's a snowstorm. And there's a meditation that I do with some of my clients in groups where you actually sort of bring the most beautiful tree you can think of inside of you, where your legs become the trunk. And you become steady no matter what emotional storm you're going through. You can still be grounded and anchored. And lean into your emotional core even when you're going through an emotional storm. Any other practices people have to relax and unwind and decompress?
I do a lot of yoga.
Yeah?
I do it in the morning though. It's like part of my first, I get out of bed, I feed the cat, and then I do like 10 minutes of yoga just to kind of like ground for the morning. And that's really helpful to kind of just like wake up and.
Right. Okay. I tried yoga. This was
Not for
before
everyone.
the pandemic. There should not have been mirrors in the room. So they put you in that position, right? I look over in the mirror at myself. I was cracking up. I think I was asked to leave that yoga class. So I really did try those positions.
Practice.
I know. I know. But yoga is meditation on the mat. It's a grounding. And there's many different kinds of yoga, right? There's more flowing, there's more hardcore. It really is a wonderful practice, and so is meditation. And with meditation, a lot of people, they misunderstand it. They think you got to go to Lululemon and buy all those weird clothes, sit in a corner and chant shit. You don't even know what you're saying for about 16 hours. No, you can meditate for 5 minutes with whatever you feel like wearing. And you can just start with watching yourself breathe. And when you get distracted, you notice the distraction, you bring yourself back to your breath. That's meditation. If you're interested in meditation, research it, learn about it. It lowers blood pressure, it lowers anxiety. People have been doing it, think about it, for thousands of years. There's got to be something to it. Any other practices people?
This is very cliche, but prayer works really well for me.
What does?
Prayer.
It's not cliche.
No, I said cliche.
No,
You know.
it's not.
Yeah.
Prayer can be so different for so many people.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be religious connected. But yeah, prayer.
Mm-hmm.
A mantra can be a prayer. It doesn't have to be traditionally, right? When you think of, but yes, oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. Anything else? So I notice, wow, it's 20 after 8. Okay, so this ends at 8:30, correct? Right? Yeah, I know, you could stay all night. This is riveting, right? You can't even, look at Kelly, she can't even believe it. So I was going to put you through a guided visualization. I just don't know if we have the time, and I surely don't want to keep you longer. I'm sure you've had busy days and you're tired. So it's up to you. How many would like? I could try to shorten it some. It's a guided visualization. We don't have to. I don't know, what do you think? How many would like to be put through a visualization? And I won't take it personally if you're tired and you're ready to. Well, what we could do is the people that want to stay, I don't know, what do you think, Robin? Or
We've got it, we're recording it. So, at the very least, if someone wants to see it later, we're going to have it on our YouTube channel and on our website.
Oh, okay.
So that's fine.
All right. So before some of you, if you're not up for it, I'd like to give you all a blessing. May all that is unforgiven in you be released. May your fears yield their deepest tranquilities. And may all that is unlived in you blossom into a future graced with love. That's my blessing to you. And you may want to ask yourself, some of you know the poem, what will you do with your one wild and precious life? What will you do with your one wild and precious life? This is your life now. It may not be a dress rehearsal. Who knows? Maybe we have 7 more or whatever, but this is your life now. What are we all waiting for? You don't have to understand everything. There's always going to be mystery. But in any moment where there can be joy, absorb it. Yes, there's anger moments, there's frustrating moments. That's being human. Let it all in. Get rid of what you can. Let go what you can. So there's more room for a lift of spirit, for joy, for passion. Who the heck knows what might come in? Shit, I moved to Newburyport, became a Unitarian, adopted a cat. Who knows what's next? It's really been an honor to be with you all today. It's really been a pleasure. This is different for me. I'm used to live audiences, but I can at least see your faces. And it's been wonderful. I hope you walk away with some new ideas, some new thoughts. And if you are struggling in your life and you're stuck somewhere, help someone push out. Listen, family and friends mean well, right? They can mean well. They're not always the best people to go to, right? Oh, get over it. Let's just drink and shop and you'll be fine. They want you to be happy. They love you. But there may be something going on. So reach out in your life to a support person. Personally, I think we should all be assigned a therapist at birth. And I don't know, and when you're 3, I guess get moving or get started. But these days, and I'm not saying counseling is the end all of end alls, maybe there's a spiritual person in your life or a wise person, but you don't have to go it alone. And you don't want to waste too much time twisting and turning in the wind, trying to even figure out what you're upset about, right? You're resilient, you want to get busy. So I wish you all peace and healing wherever you need healing. And thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Very
And
great.
Karen, I only swore a few times, and I feel pretty good about that. There you go.
Susan, do you want to put your contact information in the chat in case someone wants to get in touch with you?
Oh, wow. You mean you really think you're going to call me? No, I'm kidding. This isn't my computer. I'm not sure.
Okay.
What if I send you my
Perfect.
email stuff and how's that?
Yeah.
I know, I'm like pitiful. Okay, so, all right, so I'm gonna lead you, for anyone that wants to stay, what if it goes past 8:30? Does something happen?
No,
Okay.
no. We're good.
So this is a guided healing relaxation. Okay. Get comfortable. Find as relaxed a position as you can. And close your eyes. If you want to, you can look down, you can look ahead, whatever feels comfortable. Let your body begin to relax. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, let tension start to leave your body. Notice where you hold your tension, and imagine that place opening as you exhale, so it moves away from you. We store our sorrows, our tensions, our anger. Open it all up, and just for this one moment, let it go. Feel your body letting go, becoming more relaxed. You have all you need in this moment. I want you to imagine that there is a protective light shining around your body, almost as if you are glowing. This light can keep you safe right now from stress and tension and worries and other problems that seem to have attacked you. It's protecting you. Picture in your mind being surrounded by a warm golden light. This light is like a shield deflecting anything that is not good. It is like a spiritual armor that's protecting you and helping you feel calm and relaxed. From head to your feet, you're surrounded by this light. Beginning with your feet, focus. Feeling how relaxed and maybe even tingly your feet feel, because it's surrounded by this light, as are your ankles, your lower legs. Just travel up your body as this golden light surrounds you and begins to move in you, where you feel warm and comforted and relaxed. Drop your shoulders, open your hands. Feel the relaxation seeping in, because you've got so much room right now, because you've let go of so much. This warm light can enter you. There's a stillness you're beginning to feel inside of you. As this warm light continues to travel throughout your body, it's flowing through you and around you. You are shielded right now in this one moment of grace from wants, worries. Allow yourself to have a moment of freedom. Any areas inside of you that you think are still dark, let that light in. Let it draw out those dark areas. You may even feel a sensation as tension and worry has been leaving you. You may feel a little sleepy. The protective light is like a magnet, drawing out the dark tension out of your body and away. This light is also a magnet for good, peaceful thoughts, attracting relaxation into you, stillness, tranquility, just for a moment. Bask in this one moment of peace. Your body has absorbed this moment. So if later tonight, tomorrow, next week, you feel overwhelmed, unmoored, out of sorts, close your eyes, picture this light, and your body will respond because it has absorbed this moment and it holds memory. This light can be an anchor. When you feel ready, you can return to the present, hopefully feeling a little bit more relaxed and calm. There are so many guided meditations and relaxations on all the different venues we've talked about, Calm and YouTube. And if you're a visual person, there's ocean and forests. There's so many different visualizations. Try some different things and just see what sort of works for you. How many of you noticed some tension leaving you? And how many feel a little bit more relaxed than before you started? There you go. So, any just last minute questions from anybody? Anything else, Leslie or Robin?
I thought this was great. I honestly, I was writing a lot of what you were saying because it certainly resonated with me, but it's also information I definitely want to pass to some people that really need this kind of advice and some of these buzzwords right now.
Right.
For sure.
I want to echo what Leslie said. I can use this with my groups and friends, myself. I mean, you know, we get a lot of trainings and we learn a lot about these things, but yours is really great and comprehensive and enlightening. And you presented it in a way that just was so funny and entertaining. So I didn't even feel sleepy, and I'm usually sleepy by like 6:45.
Oh, wow, that's a great compliment.
And all the compliments you're getting, everyone's saying, Susan, you're wonderful, Susan, you're wonderful. I'm definitely taking it personally. Thank you for that.
I didn't even look in the chat. I should look in the chats, right? Well, you've been very attentive. Even though it's a Zoom, I could really feel you were present. You were right there. That was, I could feel that through the Zoom. Anything else?
I just really want to thank Karen for bringing you to us.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I'll tell you, I've been working with Susan for several months now, and I notice it in the negotiations I'm dealing with at work. And, you know, because there's so many unknowns and people are very high strung, and I just it's almost like I've had a Xanax. And I just listen to them, and I find myself going, guys, let's not rewrite the end of the story. Let's not jump to that. And I was always, my sister and I, she'll tell you, we prepare for the worst case scenario and everything. And Susan said to me the other day, why don't you try just once preparing for not the worst case scenario and see how that works out for you? And so they're life lessons. And I took copious notes. If anybody wants, I'll type them up and send them. But yeah, thank you, Susan, for all the great work.
Thanks for.
And that thing about, and don't serve it tea. It's so true. Feel it, acknowledge it, but you don't have to sit down and serve it tea. Just feel, okay, duly noted.
And if it's near happy hour, then just don't serve it a margarita. You know,
Right.
Depending on the time of day, that thought's coming up. Yeah. We can just notice and not attach to every thought that comes up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, well, thank you. It's been a pleasure. And anything you find, Leslie or Robin, if people want copies of anything, I can send you the poems or whatever. And
Yeah, the blessing, Susan, that blessing was beautiful at the end.
yeah,
I would love that.
that blessing. I can send whatever you want me to, and my email information and anything else I can help anyone down the road. It'd be an honor.
I may take you up on that cooking offer because I'm a pretty good cook.
I'm coming over.
I know.
Where do you live,
We'll come cook for you and have our own little session.
Wait, where do you live?
I'm going to bring you a lobster and get a session.
Oh, you're a lifer. Even if you don't have any more issues, I'll come up with some. But Kelly,
I live in Lynn, but I work in Beverly, so I'm not that far from you.
no.
And I actually, I'm in Newburyport every once in a while.
Okay,
So
well, keep me posted, and
I will. I have to say, a lot of people have mentioned some of the things. I took notes as well. But I have to thank you. You got me right at the beginning with, it's not what you've lost, it's what you get to keep.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You know, it's just incredible. I lost my mom. It'll be, I don't even count years anymore. It was back in 2003, and I can't. It's like my brain won't let me do the math because it doesn't want me to kind of acknowledge how long it's been. But that was just such a huge point for me, is that even after all this time, you know, I get to keep everything I had up until then. So it's just such a wonderful perspective to have. So you got me right at the beginning.
Well, you know, when we lose someone, right, you lose that connection. So the goal is to reconnect in new ways to stay connected with that person. When my dad died, I still have twinkle lights all over the place because he loved twinkle lights. Now I suck at gardening, but I have plants because he loved that. That's a connection. So it's about reconnecting. And all the amazing things, Karen, that you've shared on how you've reconnected with your loved ones.
Yeah.
That's the deal. Yeah.
Well, Doreen, who's on tonight, my sister-in-law, Stephen's sister, we went to the 99 the other night and sat at the bar. And that was one of the, places Stephen and I would very often go. And instead of avoiding those things, I throw myself into them. I force myself into them because as we sat there, it was initially difficult because she's gone there so many times with Dad, her father, my father-in-law, and I've gone so many times with Dad and with Stephen. But then as I found myself sitting there, just kind of soaking in the memories.
Yes.
And to your point earlier.
Yeah. I mean, we all have a right to heal and move through our grief. We have a right to mourn. We have a right to have whatever emotions we're having, and emotions need motion. They need to keep working through us. And I agree. I think people, a lot of people I know, they put the pictures away, they avoid anniversaries, they don't want the reminders. My perspective is, bring those reminders on.
Yeah. I agree. I was thinking when Kelly was talking, I was thinking about my mother too. And I remember like when she first, she's been gone since 1998. What's like 23 years? That's incredible. But I remember like in the beginning, like you would always just like tear up and cry when you thought of her. And then there was the one day where you thought of something funny and you laughed and you said, oh my God, and it's like, I can laugh now. And, that's, my mother was funny. So I just always.
Right. And people always say, well, so how long will this last? When will I be done? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, and grief ebbs and flows. It's not about those beginning, middle, end. Well, what stage am I in? How come I'm not going that anger? I'm not a fan of all that or closure. It's really about holding that loved one and taking them with us as we move on. And how do you do that? But it's not about getting over closure. I will miss and grieve my dad forever, but and it doesn't mean I don't ever cry, but remembering, that's what we have, right? The memories and the honoring.
Susan, I had one question to ask you. I found that my mood elevated incredibly during the political uproar that helped me through the COVID thing with information overload. Everybody's opinion all over the place. I was starting to get like squirrely. And then I kind of set a limit, even during politics, all the bullying and everything going on, making me crazy, both sides. So I learned to just let go of it. And I said, I'm not doing information overload. I'm not watching the news every night. I'm not, reading every stupid email,
Right.
And that made such a difference in grounding me. And the political thing I learned carried me through COVID. And I'm not like, people are like, aren't you sick of it? Aren't you upset? Aren't you depressed? And I'm like, no, because the political thing kind of smashed it out of me. So I'm good.
Yeah. Well, I think we have to really look at detaching sometimes and really noticing what we can hold, what we can't, setting limits. It's all okay. It's okay. It's also okay to grieve and also have joy and laughter. It's not being disrespectful to the person that you've lost by having your life and allowing